Alrighty, good morning, sigmas and sigmoids and sigmets and all right, let's start that over. Yeah, so it's like 11. I said I would start early, but then a few things got in the way this morning, so we're dealing with that. I'm gonna be in class in like 40 minutes, so I'm gonna make the most of this time. Yeah, so nothing crazy. But yeah, we'll get somewhere. I'll finish this chapter, whatever it takes. We'll do it. Depending on how much information is going to be in this class, I might be able to write a little bit in between, like certain topics or whatever. But this is still introductory stuff, so we're good. We're fine. Yeah. So that's that. There's just this hole in my wall that's like, it's a purposeful hole. Like, it exists because somebody wanted it to exist. You know what I mean? Like, it has a little like ring, like one of those, what are they called, bro? Those things you insert into holes that like keep the hole clean. And like, I don't know. Yeah. So let's just get to the word count thing. Yeah. So we're super duper close to 237. We're like, yeah, we're close. So I can't see without my glasses that well. My vision's pretty shit, but I do like the relief of it not being on my face all day. So I will switch to contacts when I go to school, but for now, we got the glasses. So yeah, I'll show you the word count. We'll do some work. I don't know what I'll vlog today necessarily. It's just whatever comes up to the dome, the noggin. But yeah, here you go. There you have it, as it was last night. All right, about to head out to school now. So yeah, I got quite a bit of good writing done. So I'm hoping maybe I'll be able to get some done soon, or when I head back. I don't know, but it's been a pretty decent day. Did a little bit of math. Yeah, it was kind of mostly just writing some like notes and reminders for like square root stuff. So yeah, like cube roots, nth roots, all that kind of jazz. So yeah, I'm gonna head out now and I'll see you later. I'm pretty happy right now. Just finished the work for today. And I feel good. I feel really good because we got a crazy word count of 2,123 words. And I just finished the scene I was talking about, the chapter too. Which I've been picturing for almost 5 years now. I came up with this scene way back when I was still writing my first book. Because I had been planning this book, the last book, and it's finally happened. Like this, like there's been several points in this book where it's been like this, but this one particularly is this character that it's about has grown to be one of my favorite characters in the series. And I guess I could just say it like it's a death. It's a character death that I've been waiting to write, and I've been like, of course, I had a couple lines and whatnot ready that I have been coming up with for a long time, that have been in the timeline for a long time, but now, yeah, it's written, and some of the lines I came up with on the spot were just like, I'm sorry, I have to congratulate myself this one time for the prose because it actually came out really well. And yeah, 2 more chapters to go after this, and that's the end of the book. We might even reach 250K, seeing as we're pretty much on the word count as predicted somewhat, so we'll get somewhat close. And if not, that's fine. We'll be in the 240K range. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Yeah. It just came out so well. Exactly as I imagined it. Yeah. Well, of course it did, because I imagine it and then I write it down. So, but I don't like to really write things ahead of time. I don't like to skip scenes either. I just like to trudge through it and then finally get to the nitty gritty. So, yeah, that's what we did. God, and this character's full arc is complete. It's done. There's very little to do with them anymore. And yeah, it's just great. Like it, yeah. I'm just so happy. Just so happy. It's one of my favorite characters in the series at this point. I don't know. There's a few that I might like more, but it's a character that was kind of an afterthought in the first book. But I was like, no, we need this character. They were an afterthought in a sense of like I didn't plan. Because the first book was the least planned in terms of the content, other than like I had a basic outline, which then I made more detailed in my head, but I didn't really write down much like I have nowadays, considering it's a whole series that spawned from it. But yeah, in the first book, it was just a character I introduced as, I guess I can't say too much, but it's a character I introduced that, yeah, in the moment I was like, you know what, this would be an interesting character to juxtapose the main character and like all this other jazz. It just seemed like a good idea. And I hated the character at first. I was like, in a good way, right? Like, yeah, I thought it wasn't particularly likable. But now he's like one of the most likable characters. And it's just he's one of the most kind of interesting personalities. We don't even know that much about his background, which we will actually. There's his presence is not over in the story. It's just that, yeah, yeah. So there will be more to come, I think, in book 3. Well, I don't think, I know. I've already planned it. But yeah. So I'll just show you the word count real quick, as always. Oh, yeah. So I just pray other people have this kind of experience where it's just such a cathartic moment. Yeah, because it's when you plan something for so many years, and you're gonna get there, you just don't know when, right? Because like it constantly got shifted back. It's finally just such a relief that it's over, but at the same time, yeah, I'm gonna miss this aspect of the story. Yeah, but it just needed to happen. It needed to happen to close off the character arc, and it just worked so well. So, little pat, and also word count wise, highest word count in like a month or more, to be fair. So, yeah, things are looking up. I think it's when you write character deaths, they have to be extremely purposeful. You don't want to overload it, kind of just go full George R.R. Martin. Though most are very purposeful. It's just that, like, I think you can't desensitize the audience, the readership, to, too many deaths. You have to keep it to a lower degree. Like, you also don't want to make it too grim dark and just like it's constant death and suffering. It could be suffering a lot. I mean, this book generally deals with that, right? And in a big theme, I think the main theme of the whole series is about kind of suffering, and what suffering is for. Why do we suffer? Who do we suffer for? That kind of stuff. Why should we? And what's it worth? Why is it worth it? Why should we struggle? So yeah, you can definitely incorporate it into the story to a degree where it's very important, but it just needs that purpose. It can't be just for the sake of it, right? So yeah, yeah. That's one thing I've learned, because I have killed off characters, not in this series, but just in the past with my writings, where it was just kind of a shock value thing, and I tend to not like doing that. I mean, I was pretty young when I did that, and it wasn't like I never completed a novel until I was like 17. So uh back then it was just kind of playing around with stuff, and it was just the beginnings of stuff, or um just my little, like, sometimes I had a plan for a series or something. I wrote into the future, and then just to write some scene that I really wanted to. But now I don't like doing that. Now I like to get to the authentic point. Like, I have to be in the headspace. I have to know everything that happened beforehand. Yeah, and it helps me, because I'm just I'm just the type of writer who, I can't really take a long break from writing, because then I have to just completely catch up of what I did write, because there's just so much to get through, especially books this thick, where, like, the manuscript in my formatting is 685 pages right now, and that's it's quite long. So yeah, it's not easy to remember every little aspect, but it is easier to remember these things if you're constantly in the sauce. So yeah, don't take too long breaks, and don't skip it too far ahead, because it is nice to have that context of what you wrote beforehand. Just stick to it. Don't get bored. I know a lot of writers who get bored of their projects. They either like to skip ahead, or they just like to abandon them entirely, or not entirely, but just abandon them for another time. But just, yeah, write what you want to read, and you'll never be permanently bored of a project. There may be parts that are slower, but then you have to really analyze, think critically about what's boring here, what's not working, what kind of elements of surprise do I need for myself, right? That's a big one, I feel like, that I've noticed, is just that I need to surprise myself, to entertain myself. And then you go back, you kind of forget about certain things, then you're like, wow. So it goes down from something as simple and as minuscule as like a line of prose, to big ideas, big concepts that take over chapters, or many chapters, like full on arcs, maybe the whole book. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. At a certain point, when you stick with something long enough, like with this series I've been writing since 2019, it's so near and dear to my heart. Like, I can't abandon it. Um, it wouldn't feel right. I have to finish it. I want to complete a series, and you know, it's a simple. I feel like it's also the kind of easiest kind of story to write, like a epic fantasy, or just like a fantasy. I feel like that genre particularly is actually quite simple, because you have to make up a whole bunch of rules for the world, but as long as you remember your own rules, it's it's decently easy compared to something like sci-fi, which also depends on the kind of sci-fi you're writing. All the subgenres. Also, if it's something like hard or soft sci-fi, but generally, I feel like the rules there are stricter, or just a little more, you know, you don't make up quite as much, depending on, you know, where you're at. So with softer sci-fi, if we're writing something like Dune, I haven't actually read the full novel, but I do know, you know, it's very fantasy-like in a sense, because it doesn't, you know, it follows themes and kind of topics like ecology, philosophy, um, a little bit of biology, I guess maybe more than a little bit, but that kind of, you know, stuff, and then, you know, something like hard sci-fi, like for example, something that's popular right now, like Three Body Problem. That's, you know, that's science that, you know, while not everything is real, it has to have this pure logic to it that you have to strictly follow. So yeah, choose your genres correctly. I think I would recommend writing something like fantasy or something more, I don't want to say like imaginatively freer, although, because like sci-fi is so freeing too. It just has different constraints that make it harder, and you know, it contains a lot of science, which is, I feel like, a little more difficult than history, or um, you know, that general stuff. You know, it depends on the person. Obviously, some people excel more in one or the other. It's just, I'm just that kind of person. I find it easier. So yeah, it's good to start with like a trilogy that follows it. You know, it might not be the easiest to write something this long, with such structure and pacing, and, you know, having to balance that. But then again, like, you get in the, when you're in the momentum of it all, it does make it easier. So yeah, that's my little rant for that kind of stuff. Yeah, don't kill off characters without purpose, and just stick to your shit, so you can get to these kind of moments, because it feels great. It's a cause for celebration. But I'll wait till I finish the actual book, which there's only 2 chapters left. If I do keep on a pace, I probably won't keep on pace with like 2,000 words a day. But if I get at least over 1,000 every day, I think I'll finish maybe before the 20th. I think maybe before the 20th I'll finish. So this month, days away from finishing this book. Feels great. So yeah, that's day 74, I believe. Day 74. It was a great day. Just all in all, can't complain. Did a little bit of math earlier. Actually, was just refreshing on roots and all that. I could show you real quick. I was making some notes on that. As you can see, all that jazz. Yeah, just some simple stuff. It's just, I need to really comprehend, visualize this stuff, and also memorize it. So while I'm simplifying expression and solving problems, I know exactly what's up. Yeah. It's pretty fun, actually. You know, when you actually understand the problem, when you understand, I don't know what law that is. Is it Will's law, Wiles' law? I forget, but it's like when you know, when you've stated a problem clearly and concisely, you've solved half of it, right? So that's that. But that's enough for today. I'll see you tomorrow.